Welcome back. Okay, we've managed to re-establish our connection with Dr. Kogie Archary from the 1860 Indentured Labourers Foundation in Durban, which yesterday launched a book virtually entitled 1860 is #160 in the year 2020. Dr. Archary, when we lost a connection to you, you were just telling us why you decided to launch this book on National Women's Day here in South Africa, and you said it's because women also played a very big role in indentured during the days of indentured labour by the British colonialists. So what is the book about?
Okay, Dan, before we move on further, so the name of our organization is the 1860 Indentured Labourers Foundation, Verulam. That is the organization that I belong to. So to let you know now what the book is all about, the book is a collection of articles that were presented at previous 1860 Verulam conferences. So the first conference was held in 2016, and it was a youth conference. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we are very involved with all sectors of the community. So we wanted to encourage students in the local schools in Verulam to research, to write up their articles, and then to present it at a conference. So 4 students were chosen, and their papers were presented at the conference, and we reported on this on the media. Then in 2017, like I mentioned earlier, you know, we are very gender sensitive. We had a Women Power Conference. And at this Women Power Conference, we had award-winning journalist, Dr. Devi Rajab, who presented a paper. We had a social and human behaviorist specialist, Dr. Dana Segri Govender, who presented a paper. And we had political analyst and lecturer, Dr. Lubna Nadvi, who also presented a paper. And they presented papers on different themes. I mean, if you want, I could read out the titles, or we could talk about it a little later. And finally, in 2018, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of our organization, which is led by Mr. J.S. Singh, who I must mention is going to be 90 next month. And at the 2018 conference, we had 6 speakers, and these were all acclaimed academics. So we had Professor Gul.
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Archary, just in the interest of time, that's the background, but I just want to know, I mean, what is the purpose of this book?
Okay, so basically the topics covered were Indian indentured migration to colonial Natal by Professor Vahed. Dr. Betty Governor spoke about the Indian experience of women in indenture in colonial Natal. Dr. Hemant Nobat, a psychiatrist, spoke about stress and mental illness, that began during indenture, where many women and men jumped off the ships because they could not cope with the situation that they were faced with on their journey from India to South Africa. We had Dr. Ashwin Desai, who told the story of 3 ships. And then Kalpana Hirlal, professor at University of Natal, who spoke about a short history of the education system and how the Indians decided to start up their own schools. And finally, Professor Rajen Maestri, who spoke about the language and the lexicon of the indentured people. So this is what the book entails, the collaboration of all aspects of Indian indentured life in South Africa. And we tried to document it from 1860, until almost present day.
Yeah, how do you hope this will benefit the Indian community and the South Africa at large, and especially future generations of Indian South Africans? Because, I mean, we know that the majority of Indian South Africans today are descendants of that indentured labour practice that lasted for over 50 years, from 1860 until the Indian government banned it in 1911.
Okay, so basically, we as Indians in this country see ourselves as proudly South Africans of Indian descent. So the book is, once it gets onto the bookshelves, it's for every South African, ordinary South Africans, to read, and then to have knowledge as to what really happened in our history. Because unless the history is told and retold, we'll not know where we've come from. And we need to know where we've come from in order to take us forward. So this book will empower anybody to get knowledge on the Indians and the indentured period, because the indenture was actually modern day slavery. You know, people had to work for 12 to 18 hours, no rest, rationed foods, punishment. So this is all that has taken place. So, you know, how it will benefit society is actually to know what happened, our heritage, the struggles, and eventually how we have overcome what was put before us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kogie Archary from the 1860 Indentured Labourers Foundation, Verulam, talking to us about the launch of this book virtually, about the history of that colonial period in our country.